Hello there! The hardest choice in any Borderlands game is deciding which Vault Hunter to invest your time into first. Borderlands 4 gives us 4 new characters to choose from, and thanks to 2K, I've had the privilege to play them all pre-release, so I can tell you which Vault Hunter fits your playstyle best, and which has the attitude and aura you want to hear from the prologue to the end credits. We've got a lot to get through, let's do this.
Fear not, sad little toaster boy.
Part 1, Backstories. Meet Vex, Borderlands 4's Siren, and this lady randomly received her Siren powers while she was working at a checkout job. After suddenly realizing life had more to offer, she switched career paths and now she's a Vault Hunter. Those of you who know your lore will know that Sirens are the backbone of Borderlands' story, with only 6 in existence at one time. If you'd like to continue that lineage, then choose Vex. This is DF191.
Call me Rafa, sir.
Okay, this is Rafa, the soldier type this time around. Rafa was a test subject for a new exoskeleton produced by weapon manufacturer TDR before they realised the soldiers in the life frames were just as useful when dead. Of course, Rafa did not agree and fought his way to freedom. And now the only thing keeping him alive is that exoskeleton. Regardless, Rafa is totally carefree and plans to enjoy whatever time he has left in the land of the living. Next up, we have Harlowe, a tech-savvy combat scientist who once was on the books of Maliwan, yet another weapon manufacturer in Borderlands, another member of our misfits who wanted a career change. Harlowe is from the Traunt family. We've met them before, and we may have unalived a few of her family members in previous games. But don't worry about that, she's offed a few of her own siblings herself without batting an eyelid. In fact, she has such a sunny disposition, it's quite contagious. And finally, here's Amon, the Forge Knight, who knows some incredible trivia.
Did you know it is possible to squeeze a man's head so hard his brain turns into a diamond?
¿Qué?
Amon was brought up in a Vault monster worshipping cult, and after one of those things turned on everyone he loved, he ended up alone and vowed to exterminate as many Vault monsters as he could find. A thing to note is that although he looks tough and is itching to fight constantly, he's actually a real softie at heart. Very lovable, in fact. That's enough backstory, I think. On to part 2, skills and abilities.
Next level.
Now we know a little about their histories, let's look at each Vault Hunter's core abilities, the skills we'll be using alongside all the guns we'll be shooting. This is where your personal playstyle comes into focus. My personal favourite is Vex, as she blends the abilities of a Borderlands Siren with a summoning power usually seen in a Necromancer. And right away, if you mained Flak in Borderlands 3, Vex is most definitely your girl. Her first ability is Dead Ringer, which spawns a clone of herself. There are 2 versions of this. A Spectre is an on-foot soldier who stands their ground and shoots, whereas the Reaper is a floating melee clone that hunts down enemies on the battlefield with a freaking scythe in hand. If you choose to play Borderlands 4 alone, this one ability feels like having an entire squad with you who can aggro foes and take the attention away from you. Super useful, much recommended. Vex's second skill tree gives us the Incarnate ability. Vex suddenly dons wings and immediately an explosion fires, which both damages enemies and also fully tops up her health. In this form, she can use Eldritch Blast, dealing extra damage using her offhand. Lastly, the one I think most people will enjoy, Phase Familiar. Vex is joined by her pet, Trouble. And get this in your eye holes, Vex attunes herself to the elemental type of her weapon currently in hand, and so does Trouble. So by switching weapons, your little cat does this. A little psychedelic cat, how cool is that? Trouble can teleport towards enemies, and you can also command this cute bugger to explode, hurting anyone nearby. But don't worry, he can be called back into existence after a small cooldown.
There's my good boy.
On to Rafa now, the run and gun soldier class with an exoskeleton designed for pure damage numbers. We've had many soldier units before, but they've all played slightly differently. Well, depending on how you set him up, he can play like Mose. One skill tree offers Rafa the Peacebreaker cannons, 2 shoulder mounted turrets that start off with kinetic bullets, but over time it can be customizable. You could have rocket launchers up there, you could have freaking laser beams. This is a pure DPS build and has the potential to melt bosses in the right situation. Another skill tree gives Rafa the Apophis Lance. To me and you, we'd call this an arm cannon. Once again, designed to decimate enemies and keep keep Rafa moving forwards. And then we have the arc knives, and just as it sounds, Rafa becomes gunless for a moment and becomes a blade-wielding melee damage machine. It's so different from the typical moment-to-moment gameplay, and to be in third person in a Borderlands game is always cool to see. And depending on how it's buffed, Rafa has crazy fast movement speed, and every foe he hits that isn't eliminated will be marked and takes increased damage. So this in a co-op build could be very helpful indeed. Over to Harlowe now, the super friendly technology geek that loves science.
Yes, science!
Harlowe possesses a flux generator. When thrown down, it becomes a dome of energy which deals damage to any enemies inside, debuffing them and entangling their damage, so hitting one hurts the others too. On the flip side, Harlowe and her allies are given an overshield for extra protection, once again making this ability great for squadding up with friends. The bubble can be set up to remove all enemy elemental resistances, great for those tough moments when you're out of bullets on the weapon you need most. Another skill tree is based around the floating orb of destruction, known as the Chroma Accelerator. It moves slowly forward, damaging and travelling through enemies in its path, and should she choose to, Harlowe can nuke that, causing an explosion and extra damage. There are some really cool ways to set up this orb, like making it bounce around the battlefield from enemy to enemy, or even dragging all those baddies away as it moves forward. One of the devs calls this the Disco Ball of Doom. I can see why. Finally, Harlowe has the 0 point. No, not that 0 point. No, this isn't Fortnite. The Borderlands 0 point is a status effect orb, which holds an enemy in place, allowing you to shoot the heck out of them without them being able to defend themselves. And then we can also slam them into the ground, which is very satisfying. And yes, we can throw them into other enemies too, and even bubble multiple foes at the same time.
Oh, hello, beautiful.
And now over to Amon, the soft-hearted Viking melee juggernaut behemoth of a man, who is happy to be the up-close bruiser of the group, sharing similar tactics to Amara,
I'm always looking for a fight.
Krieg,
I powdered my cockatiel for the ribcage slaughter.
and even the OG Brick, remember him? His cybernetic skill tree awards the Crucible action skill, which readies axes to be thrown. 3 in total can be lobbed at the enemies, and should we miss, we can go and pick them up again, and the cooldown is instantly refunded. Each axe is elementally charged, and if you don't want to hold them yourself, there's a drone option in the skill tree too. And we're not stuck with axes. You prefer hammers or swords? They're here as well. By holding down the ability button, Amon will snap 2 axes together and yeet it forwards into targets, unleashing massive damage. Another action skill he has is Scourge, which gives him a hulking great forged shield to tank even more damage while closing the distance on a target. En route, Amon can unleash a Forge Wave, and if you're extra reckless, you can throw the shield itself. This skill tree has a wall of fire to block bullets and singe any foe who ventures through it. And finally, take a look at Amon's Onslaughter, a fist of fury so to speak, enhancing his gauntlet. We can fire out elemental bolts of energy, and we can even dash punch forward, once again closing the gap on enemies. And hold the action button to unleash the Molten Slam, another oversized weapon for the big man. A humongous hammer smash that causes absolute devastation all around it. An ultra aggressive playstyle. So as you can see, there isn't a bad choice in Borderlands 4 when it comes to the Vault Hunter you play as. But if you still haven't made a decision, I have one final way to help you out, and that's their voices, as you'll be hearing it for countless hours. So let's break that down in part 3, Interactions. Here's how all 4 Vault Hunters react to their very first quest in the open world.
Got eaten by those psychopathic rippers higher up on the beach!
Okay. How about I take care of your Ripper problem?
Okay, well, I can definitely take care of your Ripper problem.
Fear not, sad little toaster boy. I will destroy these rippers.
Cálmate, okay? I can take care of your Ripper problem.
Some are to the point, but I'm sure you've noticed Amon is wonderfully unique. So when the devs described him as a warrior poet, they really meant it. Throughout the missions I undertook as Amon, he regularly had a flair in what he said, and I couldn't wait to see what fell out of his mouth next. Speaking of next, here is how our heroes react to doing something a little bit disgusting.
Gruesome, but necessary.
Pretty sure I got spine chunks on my hand.
There's way too much spinal column on this thing.
I think it has spine on it.
So, who is the most squeamish? It's definitely Rafa, followed by Harlowe, yet Amon is fine with the grossness, and most notably, I really think Vex enjoyed that. A little bit too much, and I'm sure some people like Vex a little bit more hearing the sadistic joy in her voice.
I think it has spine on it.
And one last example, some conversations will change depending on the character you choose. This is the very first time it happens in the game, about 20 minutes into the open world, when Claptrap says this.
There you are, rookie. I was beginning to think I hallucinated you.
Claptrap, your CPU is simply not capable of coming up with me.
You're right. That jawline alone. Yowza. I was beginning to think I hallucinated you.
I trust not my eye. I trust only in the unknowable God, whose tenets are inscrutable to mortals such as I.
Sold. I'm converted. I was beginning to think I hallucinated you.
Or maybe I'm just having a nightmare and you're the hallucination.
Nice try. You can't fool me. I experience ego death for breakfast. There you are, rookie. I was beginning to think I hallucinated you.
Possible. Some people think all of reality is a hallucination by a giant computer.
Sounds dumb, but I bet it sounds really smart to dorks.
All four have totally different interactions. I'm actually massively surprised Claptrap responds differently to all of them. Extra points to Harlowe, who references the Matrix in her reply. And what I've noticed from hearing all these is that replaying the game will result in hearing new things you didn't know existed. But anyway, right now, who are you going to choose as your very first Vault Hunter? I started out as a Vex guy, but the more Amon speaks, the more I want to listen. I'm Adam, you're awesome. I'll see you in Borderlands 4.